Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Well, hey everybody, I'm back out here at Giga Texas, and we just came through a major storm system that rolled through the area early this morning, and it brought a lot of hail, a lot of rain, a lot of winds, and you're going to see some of the results of that around the site. And I think I might label this video as Giga Mud, because everything is just flooded, muddy, and it's been affecting some of the construction early on today. Of course, now the sun is out, it's going to start drying out, which is a good thing, but you're just going to see a lot of standing water and a lot of mud all over the site today. So you know, we'll still be able to get a good view of what is going on, but it's not quite as active as I was hoping, at least at the time that I was flying. As far as production is concerned, I know a lot of people are asking about Cybertruck. Are they building the new 59,990 all-wheel drive variant? I don't know for sure. I'm hearing that they are gearing up for that production, but today I saw a few new Cybertrucks over on the sorting line by the end of line. Got these video clips here. I don't know, it's really hard to tell this variant from the drone, so at this stage I'd say it's just something that we'll have to continue to monitor. Of course, more Cybercabs being produced, stored over in the east side and getting ready for transportation off to more testing around the country. And as far as what is the production rate for the Cybercabs and what can I glean so far, I really can't give you much of an assessment right now. And I think that's mainly because it's just so new and they're doing that very slow ramp up. They're also equipping many of the Cybercabs still with the steering wheel kit. And of course, this image here, it's a really good one that was posted on X very recently. Shows you what that kit looks like, and you can tell this is certainly not a final product for production. And this is pretty much what they all look like. And they have a parallel processing line next to the production line for Cybercabs, where they take those vehicles and then they put this kit in. The last thing that I want to kind of end the video with, just show the shirt that I'm wearing, is we're coming up in just a few weeks. I'm going to be heading off to Europe for the Tesla Takeover event. It's being put on by the Tesla Owners Club of Austria, and it's going to be taking place in Flachau, Austria. Beautiful location in the middle of the Alps, a lot of scenic views. There's going to be a lot of activities, a lot of discussions, demonstrations, some participation activities, and of course a lot of speakers at that particular event. It's coming up on the 5th and 6th of June, and I think tickets are still available. I'll put up this link here. You can go to the Tesla Austria Group website and sign up. I hope that you get a chance to come over, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Without further ado, let's get the drone in the air, let's fly around, and let's see what Giga Texas looks like on this muddy and wet Monday morning.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, good morning from the north part of Giga Texas. As you can tell, with all of the ponds, the standing water, and the mud throughout the entire construction site, we had a huge rainstorm come through, and it is affecting quite a bit of the area. All of the construction sites, the 4 major ones, as well as some of the other areas. And we're going to start off looking at the results of that here at the Optimus Factory Foundation, that is continuing to have work done, but is slowed because of all that mud and water. On the south end, this large excavation with a slightly lower grade than where you can see all of the footings. It's had most of the gravel and the crushed up concrete applied. Of course, the deeper plus-like foundation has got most of the water, as it's the lowest of the areas here. Of course, that's really complicating the ability to do the geopiers today. The pedestal type footings are also quite full of water. So the formwork and rebar work, everything else is on hold right now. The rest of the footings are poured with concrete, so they make a great base to hold all of the water. Later on today, the sun started coming out, so hopefully they'll be able to dry out and pump out some of this. You can see some of the rebar cages still under construction, and a large group of workers are coming out to inspect the site at the time of my flight. And this also gives you a really great sense of the scale with the workers next to the footings. Sometimes it's difficult to really get a grasp for how large those are. And also with this zoomed in look back towards the main factory, just what this entire site appears like. Of course, with the scale with the workers. At the bottom of the screen coming into view will be more workers that are finishing up their morning safety discussions, getting ready for the workday. Of course, this is what the overall site looks like with the Giga Texas factory in the upper right for scale. Of course, more of the water standing here on the northeast corner. I'm going to fly over this tree belt with the hills and ponds from that old sand and gravel mining. See some of the roads that they've cut through in some of this section. The main thing I want to show you is that this large clearing and lone tree field is continuing to expand. They are putting more of this topsoil gravel mix, which is great for being able to put all of the materials, the workshops, the recycle center, all of that stuff in the east side, which I think will be relocated up here. You can also see what looks to be maybe some marks being put onto the right-hand side of the screen, although that could just be some of the gravel being prepared. Also, the roadway on the upper left was being prepared similarly. In this bottom right, we can see more of the tree debris is being put here. It's probably going to be where they will mulch it all together. And of course, this is the northeast trailer field that we saw with the permits. They also have the refilling station, some other equipment, some of the bins, and the earthwork machinery all up here to try to stay out of the mud as much as possible today. The recycle for the concrete is continuing. The Lippmann crushing operations still have a lot to go. We can see some excavation in the upper left where they're digging through some of the dirt and finding more of the concrete. Of course, the large pile of debris, rebar, and other materials being separated out for recycling. A nice view across this area here, the south part where they are doing this excavation and clearing out more of the concrete that's buried within the dirt. As we pass over the trees, I'll show you what the River Road extension looks like here today. Of course, with the extreme amount of rain that we had this morning, you can see some of the runoff and some of the berm erosion that is happening because of all of the water. But this is continuing to progress towards Lone Tree Field, and they'll continue to cut through the trees in the upper right-hand side of the screen, be able to prepare this road to connect all the way up to where, as I bring the drone up, we can see that construction, and in the upper right where the materials and operations from the east side will be located, just so they can clear out that construction area. As I turn back towards the battery cathode plant, I'll bring the drone back down, show you some of the work that they're doing to try to deal with all the water that came from the rains. Of course, this is all the area where River Road will come through. The filtration pond on the right also has a lot of water in it. And we can also see just on the upper left how this will wind its way around the trees and over to that southeast and south side of the factory. For right now, I'm going to turn back towards the battery cathode plant. We'll come back and look at the site for the Advanced Technology Fab here in a little bit. What I really wanted to do is look at what is going on here on the east side of the battery cathode plant. Of course, we have the field kitchen at the bottom of the screen, the test track dummy new facility at the south end of the crash test facility, the new brown trailer complex that has been added recently. Of course, the mechanics room for the pulleys that are used for pulling the vehicles into the crash-tested walls. Here's a zoom in showing you those Cybercabs, the old engineering ones waiting for recycling, some other ones that have been used for crash testing. Of course, the new temporary platform to load equipment and supplies into the second floor of the battery cathode plant. And it looks like they may be preparing some sort of a tent structure at the ground in the middle right of the screen. And of course, the new refresh semi has been moved away. And this is what the crash test looking facility looks like here this morning. The transformers are still waiting to be installed, but there's gradually less and less of them here as more of them are showing up on the west side of Cortex 2 for the Megapack installation. More of the materials here at the bottom of the screen in this new yard, plus another one of the refilling stations with the red tanks on the right. And a good look across this facility back to the main factory and the multi-level parking garage in the upper left. I'm going to stay up here on the north end for a moment, show you that there is some excavation that's being done next to that stacked pile of dirt where there are some riser pipes coming up out of the top. We see all of the materials and some of the workshops on the north end of Cortex 2. Of course, the water detention pond is very full today, again, because of all the rains that we had just this morning. A pretty massive storm that came through Central and South Texas. As we get closer to the electrical switch yard, not really much change on the materials here on the north, nor with the base units for the new power poles. Still waiting to see when and where those are going to be installed. The new transformer, the sixth one, is getting the final connections made. Here's a close-in view of what that looks like here on the south end. The rest of it is all assembled. So really great to see all of this infrastructure coming together and getting very close to being able to be operational to be able to support not only the factory, but the increasingly growing Cortex 2, which we're going to go take a look at here in just a moment. We could see some excavation work on the south and the west side of the facility. I think this is part of the fire water loop system that is being installed. We've seen some permits about that filed very recently. Of course, that is to provide some of the fire protection for the entire facility. More work on the platforms, installation of those green transformers and some of the other electronic cabinets have been completed, and that work is going towards the north here, where almost all of the platforms have now been installed next to the building, along with the kind of that scaffolding that allows the cable trays to reach up over the parapet wall and into the building. So maybe in the next couple of weeks, we might start seeing some more Megapacks arriving. Better look at all the materials in the workshops here on the north side of the factory, plus the place between the die shop, the battery cathode plant on the upper left, and Cortex 2 is being changed. And we'll look at that here in just a second as we pass by the cooling platform for part 2 of the cooling system. Here we see the workshop and some of the materials being relocated onto the asphalt, and the rest of the old workshop has been removed as they're doing earthwork to fill in more of this with asphalt. As we get back to the part 2 of the cooling system, a great view here at a lower altitude showing you some of the pipes that are being installed inside. And of course, we have the large business card from the company providing the work. This company is the same one that did the cooling towers on the south end of the factory for Cortex 1. The part 1 of the cooling system is operational today. At least 2 of the fans, a lot of vapors coming up out of them, and more of the cooling system temporary trailers on the ground. I'm going to come back over to this construction site. This is where the Advanced Technology Chip Fab will be constructed. Of course, the recent rains is making this a giant mud pit as well, so it's difficult to see much construction going on at the moment. In fact, there's not really a lot going on. The bulk of the work that remains is on that south end at the top right of the screen. All of those workshops, materials, and equipment needs to be moved up to that northeast field, that Lone Tree field where we saw that being prepared. The old maintenance facility for the concrete trucks is completely gone. You can see the road now extending right through where that foundation used to be. Of course, more of the pipes that need to be installed, and that shed type covered awning needs to be removed next to the trees. So still watch for that. More of the dirt pile, at least the remaining of it, needs to be removed. And as I pan back towards the main factory, this gives you a good current look at what the work looks like as far as clearing out the area. Large amount of water at the bottom of the screen. The paving for River Road, at least one of the lanes, has reached this point on the left with some of the curbs. The workshops for the pipe fabrication, all of this here on the left-hand side of the screen is getting ready to be relocated. And of course, this major recycling center also will need to be removed. And hopefully we'll see that in the next couple of weeks, most likely going to that northeast Lone Tree Field. The water retention pond is showing most of the walls have now been installed. That'll be to support the liner. And as I maneuver the drone back and look across this construction site, what we can see is that the pond is already starting to do its job by retaining a lot of water. It looks like most of the walls that needs to be finished is on that west and the southwest corner of that pond. And then we'll see the liner being installed. More of the road surface at the bottom of the screen, and also saw some of the steel corrugated pipe for water management. And as we cross over Robotic Avenue and River Road's extension, I'll pan back to look along where the roadway will connect to here on the south end. Of course, this is the road that will go all the way up to that Lone Tree Field. Cortex 1's cooling system is fully operational here today with all 6 of those fans going. This staging yard with the wooden crates, those 3 large tanks that are listed as body in white tanks. So those are still waiting for installation. No real movement coming out of the Cybercab exit point of the factory today. So I'll continue to go up here to look at this temporary cooling system next to that platform. And I think that seems to be at least doing its job to be allowed that Cybercab production facility or production line to be in operation. The trench work is filled up with water for all that conduit, so they're starting to work on that here to bring more electrical power to this staging yard, also where many of the trailers have been located. Some other of the equipment items have been moved here. And it hasn't really changed a whole lot recently. So I'm thinking that most of what we're going to see here is going to be the trailers and the operations for some of the contractors. So I bring the drone down a little lower. You can see what the containers look like on the left. And as they get that prepared for some of the work that they're going to be doing here, if you pass over the wind tunnel and the helicopter pad, you can see what the holding lot on the left looks like for new vehicles. And those are being held for direct delivery for customers. As we zoom in on the secondary main entrance, most of the equipment has been moved away from the south side. And I'm going to pan along the east side of the building, along where the receiving doors are, show you some of the materials, all of the castings, most of which here are for the Model Ys. And as we continue to pass the baghouse filtration plant, some of the castings that we see at the bottom of the screen are for the Cybercabs as they are accumulating in those racking systems. Of course, more of the aluminum alloy wheels being brought in for recycling, melting down, and that material will be eventually put into new castings for all of the various production models that they are building here at the factory. We're going to follow along the power lines to this north sorting lot, kind of maneuver over the power lines and bring the drone down to show you all of these stands. Most of them are paint stands for bumpers and other items for the Model Ys. But this section here is, again, all of the Cybercab parts. I'll zoom in. We get a look at what this appears like today. These have been here for about a week or two. No real changes as far as some of the items being moved away or brought back. So it looks like they're just being stored here. Maybe they're no longer needed. Perhaps it was used for the setup of the production line. As we look over towards this sorting lot, this is where all of the Cybertruck castings are located, and these 2 Cybertrucks pulling the racks are what takes these down to the starting point in the construction of Cybertrucks inside the factory, and then they bring those back for refilling. On the north end of the building here, more materials, more equipment, and more work being done to fit out the 4680 cell production part of the factory. We see a bunch of items here on this flatbed brought in by a yard truck. That'll be moved inside. Later on, I did notice that there were some concrete slabs that had been cut out and brought out of the factory, loaded up for removal. So they are doing some serious construction on the inside of that area. So I'll continue to fly to the south along the west side. I was heading down to take a look at the Model Y production, but I did notice this. I'll stop here momentarily. A Cybercab parked next to that mystery vehicle with the cover and the wheels that have the kind of vinyl wrap on it. That's kind of what that looks like today. It really hasn't moved in the last few days. So we get to the exit point for the Model Ys. At the moment that I drove by with the drone, or flew by with the drone, there was no Model Ys coming out, but later on we will see the evidence of that at the end of line on the west side of the factory. Beautiful day with the flag poles, and this gives you an idea of how much wind we were having during my flight, which really wasn't that bad at all. I'm going to continue to fly to the south. You can see the berm work on the right. And a lot of green because of the spring temperatures and all the rain that we've had. And of course, more deliveries here to this drive-through section of the south part of the factory. On this section where the underground caisson used to be, they've been spraying some grass seed, but it looks like maybe the water from all the rains that washed that away. Cyber Pond is very full here today. Nice look at the south end of the factory, and of course the fork in the road statue coming into view. And of course that signifies the transition, or the fork in the road, from the old way of doing things to a AI-centric Tesla. So I'm going to bring the drone up higher. We'll cross over the road and look back at all of the areas that we visited, and of course a very swollen Colorado River coming under the South Bridge. We see some of the work on the right to put some pipeline in next to Falwell Lane. And as I stay on the south side of the Colorado River, I wanted to show you the work here for more of the water management system that is supporting all of this area. Most of the work here appears to be done. They have that water catch basin in the center of the screen. Looks like it's mostly completed. New Falwell line going over to the housing. More of the new apartments are starting to go vertical. You can see all of that woodwork on the new foundations. Coming back across this very full Colorado River, see more standing water in the ecological uplift part of the Giga Texas, just to the south of River Road. A nice look across the West Warehouse on Wheels to the end of line, which we'll visit here momentarily. And while we're here, I wanted to show you what is going on with the test track. As mentioned previously, a lot of the rains have come through, so it's made it difficult for the asphalt application process to proceed. They've got part of it completed. Most of the the north and west side outer track has been paved. Some of the interior smaller oval, but about the rest of it is pretty much waiting for this to dry out. Now in this section, much of the piles of dirt and some of the spoils from the tunnel boring work that was done with the caisson construction looks like it's being prepared to be removed. As I pull away briefly, just a nice view from this vantage point looking to the south across the new track. I'll bring the drone back down and show you a closer view of what is being done here as they are clearing out more of this older dirt. And still curious what they're going to do with this section. And these ponds are being used, as you can tell, with all the water and these pipes coming out from underneath the track for that water runoff. Now we are seeing some of the water runoff across the newly paved track and some of the erosion on the berm around where the asphalt is poured. This is kind of an indication of why the drainage system here is so important. Some of the chicane or the wavy road is starting to take shape again, but with all the mud and all the waters that's standing here, I don't think they can really do a whole lot right now. So maybe when I get back on Wednesday, things will have dried out and we'll see a lot more activity with construction on this track. So I'm going to maneuver the drone around here on the east side, heading to the north towards the material staging yard and some of the workshops, particularly the one dead ahead. I will zoom in here and we can see what's going on with the supercharger assembly and workshop area. Some of the older red and white ones at the bottom left of the screen, and then newer segments being put together in that tent, and more of the materials and the folding unit bases on the east side of that workshop. These materials in this kind of paved section are for the battery cell production part of the factory, and they've been slowly moving over to that north end. Look at the transformers today, and there's still a lot of them here, although the numbers are dwindling, so they are being moved slowly off-site, and I am not sure exactly what location they are going to. The outbound lot for a Monday morning is actually quite full. So they've done some transport operations over the weekend, but I think, again, because of the storms, they may have slowed down a little. But they will catch back up with that, plus the production that is going to be gearing up for this week. We should see a very busy lot here by Wednesday. This is what the current Cybercab production looks like. At least the numbers here on the outbound lot looks like a pretty healthy number here. I can't say for sure if these are exactly the same ones that were here on Friday or if they've been added to. My suspicion is that it's a little bit of both, some new ones and the ones that we saw on Friday, but a great view of all of these grouped together here on this part of the outbound lot. There is another grouping of, I think, 7 or 6 of them here. And these are, of course, the new glossy Cybercab Gold. I'm going to kind of spin around here. The reason why I'm doing this is look at how the lighting changes. And with this early morning light on to this color and the gloss, just how it almost changes color a little as we go around. And I think we'll get that same effect when we see the vehicles driving on the road. So very, very cool. As we pass over this part of the outbound lot, I wanted to show you all of the Cybertrucks that are here. And it's really difficult from the drone point of view to determine if these are all-wheel drive premiums, the 59,990 all-wheel drive, what used to be called the standard Cybertruck. These are the ones that were sold for that 10-day period in late February. We see some more showing up here. It's, like I said, really difficult to know for sure. I'll zoom in for your view here. Whether or not these are the newer ones for that $59,000 price tag or not, but I am hearing that there is work being done to prepare that line to bring up that production. So it would not surprise me that we're going to start seeing that here this week as we are getting to the middle part of May. And if deliveries are going to happen in June, which is what they have stated, then we're going to have to start seeing a lot more of them here in the outbound lot. So I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude, pull away towards the north over this material staging yard where we see all of the white and red materials and racks for castings being stored. And I'll pivot back towards the main factory and take advantage of the sun's now coming out of the clouds for a beautiful day here at the factory. As always, thank you very much for watching. I very much appreciate it. And thank you very much for watching. Have a great week. Take care.